Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ave Maria School of Law Insider, where each week we will bring you a conversation with someone close to the law school whose work is making a difference. This week we are joined by David Bereit. Thank you, Mr. Bereit.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
A great privilege. So Mr. Bereit, you are here visiting the law school for a few days. What is your purpose?
Well, you know, I was invited here by Royce Hood, a third-year law student, and I was originally supposed to be in Alaska at this point, but the Alaska people called me and they had a conflict on the date, so it ended up that my date freed up, and an hour later Royce calls me. I had never met him before, and he invited me to come down here to help raise funds for Sunlight Home, and also to get a chance to meet with many of the different law students. And I am a huge fan of Ave Maria, and particularly of Ave Maria School of Law. In fact, every morning I drink my cup of coffee out of an Ave Maria School of Law coffee mug that I got when I visited the Ann Arbor campus a number of years ago and spoke to the Life David Bereit group. I see so many good things coming out of this school. I see young people who are educated and equipped to go out and take on the challenges of the world to build the pro-life cause. And in fact, we have on our national team Lauren Musica, who's a graduate of Ave Maria School of Law. So on this trip, we're here to go to the local 40 Days for Life campaigns in Fort Myers and in Naples, to meet with some of the different law students while we're here, and then to also hold a fundraiser for Sunlight Home to raise awareness about the great work that this ministry is doing right here in your backyard, and how students in the community are making a profound difference that is saving lives, but also helping mothers in a time of need. So it's an honor to be here, and I'm just really excited to be, even for just a short 24 hours while I'm in town. I'm excited to see what God is doing in this area, and can't wait to share the news with other people in other communities as I continue traveling.
What an exciting trip. Mr. Bereit, tell us, how did you become involved with the pro-life cause?
Oh, that's a long story. Well, God has a great sense of humor. This is the last thing on earth I would have ever thought I would be doing. A few circumstances that kind of contributed. First off, I married an amazing woman named Margaret. And Margaret was raised in a wonderful Catholic family in Corpus Christi, Texas. And her parents always had their whole family involved in pro-life efforts. So they would go out and pray outside of abortion facilities every weekend. And over a period of several years, they saw one by one all the different abortion facilities in their city close because of the faithfulness of people going out there, hoping that it would make a difference. So she shared these stories with me, and I had always been, well, I don't like abortion, but I don't really want to do anything about it. It's uncomfortable, it's something that's controversial, and I kind of like just to blend in and not stand out in the crowd. But as she shared those stories with me, I felt that maybe I'm supposed to do something. And then Planned Parenthood announced they were going to open an abortion facility in the town where we lived, in College Station, Texas. And this was back in 1998. And at that point, having always been an apathetic, inactive pro-lifer, it was a wake-up call for us to say, do we need to do something? And the answer, of course, was yes. We are called to rescue those being led to the slaughter. So we went to a local church meeting that was being held at the St. Mary's Catholic Center, which is the campus ministry for Texas A&M. And there were 500 people that turned out that night from 30 different local congregations. And we sat towards the back of the church because I was scared about getting involved. And my wife said, well, maybe we should do something. And as I looked around the room, there were people who had more money, who were sharper, who knew how to articulate the dignity of human life. And I thought, what am I doing here? I don't have any of that. But God convicted my heart that I had some role in this. And so we began to take baby steps to pray for an end to abortion, to go out and pray at the site where that abortion facility was being built, to contribute to our local pregnancy center, our local maternity home. And step by step, God began to take that little bit of commitment and grow in us a passion and commitment that we needed to do more. And all of that kind of came to a head in 2001, where God really convicted my heart that I needed to leave my job in the pharmaceutical industry, a professional career in marketing and sales, and devote my full-time energy to the pro-life movement, first running a local pro-life group there in College Station, and then now being involved on the national scene with 40 Days for Life efforts. So it's been an amazing journey. I would never have imagined it, but it has been the most rewarding life calling that I could have ever imagined.
What is 40 Days for Life all about, and why is it distinctive from maybe some other pro-life ministries that are well known in the United States?
You bet. 40 Days for Life was something that was birthed out of an hour of prayer. There were 4 of us praying for God to show us what we could do in our community to help bring an end to abortion. And God really weighed on our hearts about the 40-day time frame that we see throughout biblical history, a time frame that He's used frequently to bring about transformation. Noah was on the ark for 40 days. Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days. Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days. And over again, we see God transforming lives and transforming the world in 40-day periods. We looked at the need for transformation in our community and felt that, why don't we align ourselves with that 40-day time frame if God has used that historically to bring about change? So the three things that we felt led to do during those 40 days while we prayed were, number one, for us to call upon our community and for ourselves to pray and fast for an end to abortion. We know that prayer is vital because with God all things are possible, but fasting, because in Scripture we're told that some demons can only be driven out through prayer and fasting. We felt that was very important. Secondly, to go out and hold these peaceful prayer vigils outside of Planned Parenthood facilities, abortion centers, bearing witness to the injustice of what happens there, but also offering hope and help to those mothers that are about to make the worst decision of their lives. And the third thing was grassroots outreach, taking the pro-life message and spreading it any way we could throughout a community so that the body of Christ knew that they could be part of the solution to the crisis of abortion. So an hour of prayer was what birthed 40 Days for Life. 3 weeks after that hour of prayer, we launched the first 40 Days for Life campaign, and we could not believe how God turned up in that circumstance. We had over 1,000 people get involved in that local effort, and we saw abortions that year drop by 28%. And since that time, it has just continued to spread city by city by city. We've now had over 1,600 campaigns conducted in 428 different cities, all 50 American states, 13 other countries. Over 400,000 people have participated, and we're just blessed to see the number of lives, over 4,400 that we know of, that have been spared from abortion. We've seen now 16 abortion centers that have closed their doors for good and gone out of business following 40 Days for Life campaigns outside their doors. And the one thing that we never expected was that we would see 53 abortion workers who've had conversions and left the abortion industry for good, thanks to the people praying for them outside. And Abby Johnson is one of the most famous that people know about. She was the 2008 Planned Parenthood Employee of the Year and had a conversion during 2009 during 40 Days for Life when she witnessed the horror of an abortion on an ultrasound. And when she said to herself, where do I go to get out of this? I've been lying to people. I've been living a lie. She looked out the window of her office and saw the people praying outside as a part of the 40 Days for Life, and that's where she went. So God has done miraculous things, but it all begins with an hour of prayer and a commitment to 40 days of prayer and fasting, vigil, and outreach, and God has blessed that tremendously.
Now, Mr. Bereit, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't one of the unique things about 40 Days for Life that it's a movement that encompasses all believers from every faith, bringing them together, united in the cause of life?
Absolutely, and that has been a great blessing. We have seen people from every conceivable faith tradition background across all of Christendom, and even people from a background of Judaism. We've had Muslims, we've had atheists involved in 40 Days for Life, ironically. But it is something that, though we may not always see eye to eye with other believers on faith and theology issues, this is something where we can stand arm in arm, united in our commitment to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. And as I have traveled, I've gotten to see just the beauty of the many different parts of the body of Christ coming together as one body, working together for a cause that is making such a profound impact. It's been a huge joy.
Now, there are some that believe that the pro-life movement is making historic progress in the United States, changing minds and hearts. Do you see that in your ministry?
Absolutely. I have never been more hopeful than I am today. I believe we are on the verge of a tipping point that will transform our nation. And I didn't used to believe that, but I have come to see it. I mean, we look at polling data that now shows that pro-life self-identification in America is 14 points ahead of those who self-identify as pro-choice. The abortion industry at its peak in 1991 had just shy of 2,200 abortion centers. That number today is 671. We've seen 2/3 of abortion centers close over the last 20 years. We've seen now 87% of U.S. counties don't have a single abortion provider in them anymore. We are becoming an abortion-free nation. Even before it's illegal, it's becoming unavailable. We see the proliferation of pregnancy centers. We see young people getting involved by the droves in pro-life efforts. Certainly here at Ave Maria and Ave Maria Law School, that is just a given. But we're seeing that on secular college campuses, state universities, and so forth. We're just seeing the spread of the pro-life message as the truth is known about the dignity and sanctity of every human life, and as people come to recognize this is a crisis and we are seeing a change. And I really believe we're not that far away from seeing that first domino fall, whether it be there are 6 states in America today with only 1 remaining abortion facility. One of those will be the first abortion-free state, and that will start a chain reaction. So I think the end of abortion is closer than we ever could have believed.
That's very exciting. Now let me ask you this. If you were somebody who was at the same point in the journey that you were years ago, interested in the issue of life on the periphery, but not becoming active yet, what would you say to those people that may be watching this program today to convert them to become active in the cause of defending the unborn?
Well, I would encourage them to recognize the magnitude of the crisis that we're facing. This truly is the defining issue of our generation, bar none. More lives are ended each year to abortion than heart disease, than are lost to cancer, to AIDS, or any other cause. This is the leading cause of death in our nation, number one. Number two, abortion has left a devastation in the lives of women. Women who are looking for the solution of a crisis pregnancy, trying to find a way out of that, only to find that abortion created a myriad of other problems. We also see families torn apart over this issue. We see the organization Planned Parenthood that's right here in Naples. Last year aborted 332,278 children at their facilities around the country, taking in $363 million of taxpayer funds. I think what people need to recognize is this is the defining crisis, and one day we're going to have to be accountable to our children and our grandchildren about what we did or didn't do at this moment of crisis, and ultimately we're going to have to be accountable to God when we arrive in our heavenly home. What did we do for the least of these? There is no one more voiceless in our society today than those innocent children, than these mothers who are being pressured into abortions. And if not now, when? If not you, the person who's watching this show right now, then who? And why aren't they already doing it? I believe each of us is called in our own unique ways, and for some of us it's to go out on the streets and to be a part of prayer vigils and to do 40 Days for Life. For other people it's to use your legal background to go out and argue cases that will advance the pro-life cause, perhaps even eventually overturning Roe versus Wade. For some people it's getting involved in pregnancy help centers or in post-abortion healing ministries or legislative and political efforts. Everybody has a role, and whatever talents and gifts God has given you, find a way to invest them into this work for such a time as this, because this is an historic moment, and I believe we are at a tipping point that will forever alter the course of history, and you can be a part of that.
So with the Roe versus Wade decision, the United States Supreme Court rejected millennia of precedent in Western law and the law of other societies in the world and legalized the abomination of abortion. One of the reasons Ave Maria School of Law was founded was to confront that perversion of the law. As a national activist in the pro-life cause, someone who has saved countless lives through your ministry, what does it mean to have a law school like Ave Maria School of Law with its mission active and thriving here in South Florida?
Absolutely critical. Because if we win this battle on one front but not on another front, we may have won a victory, a small victory, but we haven't won the war. This battle has to be won on every front. And yes, we have to change hearts and minds, but we have to change laws. And the way that that's done is through dedicated people, some of whom this will be their life calling. And that is something that is making a huge difference. And as I see graduates of Ave Maria School of Law out in the world, and some of them are in secular law firms, some of them work in pro-life work full-time, but I see them making a profound difference, and that is absolutely a confidence builder for the entire movement. People across the country are looking to Ave Maria School of Law as a part of the solution to this crisis. So never grow weary in doing good, we're told in Galatians, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And whether it's a student who's studying right now or preparing for the bar, or somebody who's recently graduated, or somebody who's thinking of coming to Ave Maria School of Law, this is a place that is helping to transform history.
What I think is really interesting about your visit, Mr. Bereit, is that you're a speaker who sought out all over the country by pro-life organizations and Christian organizations that want to hear about your ministry. You're here this weekend largely due to the work of one of our students.
Absolutely.
Right? Tell me a little bit about your friendship that sprung up with Royce Hood and how he brought you to us this weekend.
Well, it was, as I mentioned, it was totally a God thing. I was supposed to be today in Alaska, and at the last minute, the people there had to rearrange an event. I was going to do a banquet and go visit the 40 Days for Life sites, and they just had a date conflict, so they rescheduled. And so my phone rang, and it was Royce, and I didn't remember him, but he refreshed my memory that we had met at a Students for Life event in Chicago while he was interning in Chicago, and I had spoken at that event, and we had met at the table there, he and his fiancée, and struck up just a beginning of a friendship. So when he called me and he shared what is going on here at Ave Maria School of Law and his vision with Sunlight Home and wanting to raise funds for this, ironically, not a coincidence I don't believe, an hour earlier my schedule had cleared for today, and so here I am. So it was such a blessing to see Royce, and here's somebody that is engaged in preparing himself for law, but also using that entrepreneurial spirit to help build local ministries, helping to grow Sunlight Home, helping to grow the pro-life movement among the Ave Maria Law students, among the greater Ave Maria campus and the community, Naples and Fort Myers and other places we've been today. And that has been a huge joy. So I have been blessed enormously during my time with Royce today, and looking forward to the time tonight, tomorrow, and as we continue on in this trip. But literally, he is an example of what difference one student can make. He has initiated things, and he has been able to take where there's nothing and come up with an idea and create something out of nothing and build something that's making a profound difference.
So Sunlight Homes is another great nonprofit organization here in Southwest Florida. Why is what Sunlight Homes does so important?
You know, it's easy for us as believers to come to realize how bad abortion is and the harm it's doing. And it's easy for us to want to just say no to abortion, which we should, very fervently. But at the same point, we have to be able to say yes to other options. If we're going to tell somebody going into Planned Parenthood, hey, that's not the best solution for you, we have to be able to direct them somewhere else. And Sunlight Homes is doing exactly that. They are providing a place where the Christian community can come alongside that mother throughout her pregnancy and then even after the baby is born. Right before coming to the studio here, I had a chance to go by and visit Sunlight Home and meet some of the mothers. One of the mothers is about to give birth any minute. She was counting the minutes in her contractions, and could be that she's delivering at this very moment for all I know. But to see that support of the community that has enabled these mothers to be in a caring, compassionate environment that will support them throughout that pregnancy and help them in their time of need, that is part of what we are called to be as the church. And if it weren't for Ave Maria and Ave Maria School of Law, this wouldn't even exist as a ministry, let alone being taken to a whole new level of effectiveness as it is right now.
So for the benefit of our viewing audience, if they want to learn more about 40 Days for Life and what you're trying to accomplish, where can they go for more information?
The best place I would suggest is start at 40daysforlife.com, and it's the number 40, 40daysforlife.com. And there's all kinds of information on that website. You can find all the nearest 40 Days for Life locations. But also one thing I'd recommend, I think is the most encouraging that we hear over and over again, is there's an opportunity on every page of that website to sign up for the email updates during the 40 Days campaigns. And we have devotionals by national clergy members, national religious and pro-life leaders, as well as breaking news and updates of what's going on all around the country. And we've had so many amazing stories happening during this and every 40 Days for Life campaign. And many people have said it gives them great hope. After 38 years of abortion since Roe versus Wade, it's easy to sometimes despair. And when you hear about all the good things that God is doing through His people around the country, it really can generate great hope. So I'd encourage you to visit 40daysforlife.com, but then sign up to get the email updates, and I think you'll be deeply blessed by that.
You on Facebook?
We are on Facebook. We have a Twitter feed as well, so yes, indeed.
We'll add you on all those. Mr. Bereit. Ladies and gentlemen, David Bereit, founder of 40 Days for Life, here on the campus of Ave Maria School of Law in Naples, Florida. I'm John Knowles. Thank you for watching this episode of Ave Maria School of Law Insider, where each week we bring you a conversation with a member or friend of the law school community whose work is making a difference. This week we were with David Bereit. We'll see you next time on Ave Maria School Law Insider.